Processing. Okay, here we go. It is another week and time for another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and that was Bentley, right? Bentley's like, it's go time, Mom.
He's like, woo, woo, woo. That's right. That's right. Let's get the party started. Yes.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
get this party started.
So
And
I got to ask you just right off the bat, is your office going wild? Our office is off the charts this week. Like
crazy.
People are they're like getting after it with their health. They're getting after it with their, yeah. It's like, she's like, knock it off.
Okay, let's see if we can do this without the barking.
No, but it's getting wild. It's very buzzy. I mean, obviously the school has started, but we've had a week of kind of cooler temperatures and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I am way slacked over the summer. I got to get things really back on track, which is natural human. I wish people wouldn't do that, but here we are.
Well, it's always back to school, always gets busier. And when I started looking at this, this topic for us, I was blown away at how, which also explains the influx of business, at how the younger folk are seeking out chiropractors more for prevention than they are waiting until their 40s and 50s when there's something catastrophic or they have neck and back pain. And I was like, this is really, really fascinating. And so I think there's part of that, and that, you have younger generations who are looking more for preventing this. We're calling it the Dowager's hump. This is that hump on the back of your neck. We get patients that come in and they're like, what is that? I don't want that. And so we're going to unpack what that is and why people have it. But I think, yes, speaking exactly to that, just getting an influx of people who are like, I just don't want to wait. And then I have the other side of that too, where I have a lot of people coming in for nutrition who are like, I'm tired of feeling like crap and I'm tired of being told that nothing's wrong and I need help. And so I'm getting both of those populations of people.
We learned about Dowager's hump in chiropractic college, but mostly from the medical standpoint, and it's adrenal burnout. I can't think of what it is exactly. Is it Graves right now? Not Graves. Hypothyroidism led to Dowager's hump. But now,
really? I don't remember that.
You don't? Like the fat pad that gets up on the back. But now it's just simple postures. Like we never learned it as a posture thing in chiropractic college. Dr. Paula has been in practice for 28 years. Is it 8 now?
7.
And I'm in for 20 and a half years, almost to the day actually. And it was along with a thyroid. Is it corticosteroid? No. What is it?
Boy, I don't remember. Scheuermann's disease, juvenile kyphosis, soft tissue adaptations, menopause and estrogen. Thyroid, hypothyroidism.
Hypothyroidism. So that is what we learned as Dowager's hump in school.
Cushing's. That's what it was. Cushing's. Buffalo hump.
Graves is hyper. Okay, Cushing's. I'm like, what is it? I know it's hypothyroid, but I couldn't remember.
Cushing's is adrenal.
Yep. So that develops this, but it develops like this big tissue on the back side of the thoracic spine that we are simply seeing. Like when you put a 2-year-old on a screen, a device to help them relax or whatever you think you're doing, besides distracting them, as the twig bends, so grows the tree. So I was chatting with a patient yesterday about this because she was saying, I have this like posture issue. And I'm like, yeah, guess what happens? So we get going like this, and then we go further and we go further. And that's exactly where our cell phone sits. I put my cell phone right here. And then we're like, grow humans like that? We got to stop. And I think one of the stats on there was 7 hours on devices for millennials. Is that what it was? An average of 7 hours a day?
Yeah, that was the average, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So if that's the
Mhm.
average,
Mhm.
oh goodness sakes. Can you imagine what some of them are if some are nothing?
Right. Right. Well, and when we think about this too, so there's a couple of things when we think about posture. And, yes, your mother, your grandmother always told you, sit up straight, stand up straight. Number one, it's a position of, it's not a position of power. And I don't mean to say that like sitting up tall power, but it's a lack of confidence position as well. And so you are taking this, yes, we're creating this physical thing in the back, but you're also diminishing your self confidence because you can't possibly have confidence in this posture.
Mm-mm.
That's number one. Also, I'm just going to say all of these people.
Just went muted. Muted. You're muted. So, you're still muted. You're still muted. So anyway, there's actual like the microphone cross button is on. There you
Here we
go.
go. Here we go.
Okay.
That was weird.
That
Okay.
was weird.
Okay. Okay. So we have the physical act of just bending constantly, forming a C with our bodies, and then we get this physical hump, and it's also very inflamed. I know Dr. Eric and I, when we palpate, and I'll be like, boy, it feels like there's a water balloon there, and that's inflammation. The body is trying to fix something through inflammation, but then that slouching, you can't have confidence in this position.
Mm-mm.
You also are squeezing all of your internal organs. So you are cutting off blood flow to your heart, your lungs, your digestive organs. And this is when I was saying I have no scientific evidence to prove, but I think that 100% of people who are just completely arched over like that all day long, the kids, especially in school, they probably all have lung issues, asthma, allergies, digestive issues. They're all struggling from anxiety, which is a gut brain connection issue. And again, if you're doing this, you're cutting off blood flow to the gut, you're preventing proper digestion. So to me, I really was drawn to this topic because we're seeing so much tech neck, but it translates into so many other things in the human body. And it is affecting people in far greater ways than I think they really even recognize.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, they say so in one of the extra neurology seminars that I had taken along with the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association, they're talking about this going on with the position of the head coming down, and that every single time we bend our head forward, and there's a reason why this isn't comfortable, is because it swells the brain, and that the simple fact, so if we go into like I'm gonna stand up here for a minute. If we go into this Wonder Woman stance and we lift the sternum by 2 millimeters, it changes the blood chemistry, or I don't want to say blood chemistry because there's a blood brain barrier, but the brain chemistry, the actual neurons and synapses and neurotransmitters, it changes them into, well, first of all, it ignites the parasympathetic. It gets you ready, but it brings the whole system down, and it ignites health and healing and power and strength and readiness. It actually ignites that chemistry wise with the neurotransmitters in the brain. Just by taking the sternum, put your finger on your sternum and lift it 2 millimeters. Like, it doesn't take a lot, but imagine taking this really powerful position and dropping that down 2 or 4 or 6 or whatever, more than that. And it changes how the brain is functioning. And one of the statistics is that it goes into like emotional shutdown, and it goes into like this fight or flight and fear and like weakness and fragile and just all of that, like very vulnerable feelings instead of strength and power around your life. And that multiplied by 1 day is significant. Multiply it by 1 week is more, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. And you got yourself some real issues. And it's not to take lightly. And nobody is really in the schools teaching this.
Well, and you look at, again, the number of teenagers that I've seen in my practice, the number of adults with anxiety, but the number of teenagers is, there is close to 100% of every teenager that walks through my door is struggling with some kind of anxiety, depression. And the problem with that is that and then I watch their posture, and I'm like, you can't be in a position of confidence and power. You need this blood flow. And to your point about changing the neurotransmitters, like, if you're diminishing everything with this posture, then wouldn't it just make sense that if you just did this? Mm-hmm. And what I don't know is what comes first, the chicken or the egg. That
both.
You see a group of teenagers sitting around and they're all like this. Who's going to be the first one of them to sit up tall? Mm-hmm. Because the one who sits up tall now feels like the freak because all the friends are slouching, and it's now almost seems normal that all kids and teenagers should slouch. But I know that back in the day, again, sit up straight, but I think it's even worse now. I think they all think that that's normal posture, and then they laugh when you tell them to sit up straight. And that's not good. Like, the parents also need to have much more, a much wider lens on this. And even though, the kids are going to be on tablets for school, they're going to be on their phones, but as a parent, you still have to instill in them that proper posture has a far greater reach for their biological health, for their mental health and well-being, and then for their structural health and well-being. So you don't want to be the old person in the
wheelchair, right? We want to be standing tall and talking. I mean, it's a lot. We deal with a lot of humans all day, and it's a lot of the same things, right? So we have a lot of the same conversations, but they're coming to us because they're not feeling good. Their mood is slumped and all of that. But there's a reason why people say I'm in a slump. I'm actually slumped over. Like, it's when you're talking about which comes first, the chicken or the egg, when it means like coming to a group on their cell phones, which comes first, the mood or the posture, or the mood or the posture, or the mood or the posture, or the mood or the posture. And then you get this cycle, and it's a catch-22 on itself towards poor health and towards poor mood and towards poor posture and towards poor human existence, truly. So again, you take it and multiply it by a day, a week, a month, 5 years, 10 years, blah, blah, blah. And you've got some real issues. And as you said, school is on tablets. Kids are given tablets when you start the year. Like, everything's on there.
Given phones out of the womb.
And we get that, because how else do you communicate in a technology world without that technology in every single student's hands? We understand that. But what that means is, because they're on it for so many hours in the day, it is absolutely, I'm going to stand behind this. I know Dr. Paula would too. It's absolutely inappropriate to be on phones, on video games, and watching TV. Beyond that, maybe tap in with somebody, or with, if you got to complete your homework or whatever, but to sit for another hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours on a phone after technology all day, it's, believe us or don't believe us, and I'm telling you where we're headed. It's bad news bears. It's bad news. And, kids are given cell phones around age 8 right now. And I don't know what the average of someone getting cell phones these days. I'd be curious to look that stat up. Is it 8? Is it 10? Is it 12? I know it's by 12 for sure, for the most part. But it's not appropriate. And what did they go back to? Steve Jobs knew how addictive this device is and never gave it to his kids. There's a really great, it's called Irresistible. There's a really, really awesome book called Irresistible, and it talks about the addictions and up to the technology and what it does. But we were also talking the other day with another patient about, she's like, I can't even stand it. It's like devolving my children. They don't know how to look up. They don't know how to have communication. They said that they see students in the classroom because the parents are on their phones at home. So no one in the household is having back and forth dialogue and human interaction and communication. And these children don't know how to speak. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know what to say. She teaches kindergarten that I was talking to yesterday. She's like, I don't know. I mean, she's got a lot of work to do as kindergartners these days, not only because they were COVID born, but also because not born with COVID, but COVID year is the kindergartners this year. They're having a heck of a time even getting words out of these kids' mouths.
Well, and let's go back to, you remember I hired this young kid. He was maybe 18 or 19, 20, something like that. And he was home from college. He needed a summer job.
2 summers ago.
Couple, 3. Yeah. And he was so, he couldn't write. I'll just say that. He literally could not write. His hand would shake. It was like he knew the alphabet, but his brain and his hand could not coordinate, and the letters would be super smushed together, and it looked like a 90-year-old man, like, you know, older people when they'll shake, and that's what it looked like. He had zero neural pathway from his brain to his hand to actually write a word or a sentence. And I had to tell him, I said, listen, I need you to write legibly, because we still do some things on, this is my whole day's end sheet. This is all my numbers, all my patients for the day. I still like paper. Yes, it's in the computer, but I love double checking. I love redundancy. And he couldn't write. And he said, well, I never have to write because everything I do is on my phone and my computer. And I'm like, that is a travesty to humans, because if this stuff goes away, you need to be able to write. And I was like, it was like, it blew me away. I just couldn't believe that skill of writing, this kid had zero, nothing.
It's crazy.
And he didn't care either.
Yeah, exactly. The other part is, I was just thinking about when I was in, I think it was either my junior or senior year in high school, we were taking typing class, and I was like, this is the dumbest class. When will I ever need to be typing on a typewriter? They were typewriters with like the box over them and your hands in them. And oh my gosh, I mean, I was a straight A student, but I did get in a lot of trouble in there because I was sitting by 2 goofballs. But I just remember I actually got kicked out of there for laughing. I would just be uncontrollable.
Why am I not surprised by that?
I know, right? So anyway, but I just remember thinking back then, like, we had no idea. The internet came out in my senior year in high school, it seemed like, somewhere around there, 1995. And something like 94, 95, maybe 93, something like that. The World Wide Web was developed. And we're like, what is that exactly? But who knew we would need typing as much as we do and did and still do these days. But yeah, cursive writing is.
I took typing in 6th and 7th grade, because I actually kept thinking, I was like, you know, when I get to high school, I'm going to have to do papers. So I was like thinking I was going to be typing, you know, and then I got to high school, and I ended up, it was really cool if you could type on the keyboard of the computer, because then we had computers. And I think freshman year I took a typing class, and part of also if you look at old TV shows or, you know, videos of, and I'll just say The Secretary, because that's what it was. It was a woman secretary, and she was always typing. Well, you never saw her like this over the typewriter. You had to work on that typewriter. And this is why we have so much carpal tunnel, so much shoulder tendonitis, so many headaches, because back in the day, you had to do this and then pull the paper, and then there was none of these micro movements, and there was no way you could type because
You had to watch what was coming up too. How did they get that? This is a question I may never be able to answer. How did they get delete on a regular typewriter? Like, because you could type and then somehow it would like pull the ink off of it.
It had a double ribbon. So there was a correction ribbon, and you hit delete and it would raise it and go back and it would, yeah. That was the bomb when you had correction on your typewriter.
You remember we went to the Shinola store shopping last Christmas, and in the store they had a typewriter, and I loved sitting. I kind of want one of those. Not that I'd probably say that and never use it, but yeah. You're right. I mean, if you look back at the secretaries of the day, this is their posture.
Yes.
They were in their high heels. They had suit coats on, and they're typing, and it's almost like that was probably a workout, but it was only after first writing things out and then typing them up. It would be like, will you type this up? Now it's just like, will you type?
Right.
Like, anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah, but there was no possible way for them to have poor posture. And now, because of the, it's so refined, now we can just, be all slumped over. And the other problem too is that with having to look at a screen is we end up getting, we get intense on the work, and we end up not only slouching, but then migrating our heads towards the screen, and then tension in our shoulders. And, again, it's like holding a bowling ball way out here. Yeah. And I think one of the things too
was like this, or somebody in the Adams family was
and then you're like, why does and then you wake up the next morning and you go, geez, I slept wrong. Did you?
I know. I had a couple of those people in this week, and they're like,
oh yes, carbon paper, Lily. Yes. I remember carbon paper too. Okay. Yeah.
Lily, you looked back. Dr. Paula already pulled it up on our screen, but you were talking about how somebody in your family broke up with somebody because they were only on technology, which is really what happens. A neighbor of mine in the past told me her daughter broke up with her boyfriend because she could not see a future. He was attached to tech. So this happens for the young people, but it also turns around and then happens now too. I have a friend who's married, and her husband is constantly on his phone. Like, even if I go and visit, it's like, it's just, his phone is there no matter what, even if we're like sitting in the living room together having a conversation, and it's like, wow, what is happening? And then it really goes back to that book, Irresistible, which I need to go back and actually finish. It was talking about the addiction spots in the brain and what it does for addictive chemicals, drugs and such, and heroin in particular is where it started. But that this is literally like grabs that same center of the brain and just sends you down. Like, our bodies are meant to move, and they're meant to be around, and our hormones are developed by movement and stress chemicals, and we evolve that way and build muscle that way and build brain cells that way. And dopamine addiction. I just think about, somebody could go, like, my niece is 15, and we're talking about dating, and she has been on like an ice cream date and like to the tennis courts and that kind of thing downtown, and with this guy. And it's like, you could either be out there making interactions with humans, or you get the same dopamine response by just being on your phone. And that, of course, they're going to choose just being on their phone because of fear of rejection, of what it takes to have interpersonal communication and how much that's lost. And, then people come into our offices. I was just thinking about this, like, people come in and they're in severe discomfort. Some don't necessarily want to be in our office just yet. They just landed here in last ditch effort, and they're grouchy, and they've been grouchy for a long time, and they don't know how to regulate their mood. Their nervous systems are dysregulated because of the pain and discomfort. And then as we start adjusting them, their body, so we talk about this, the spine and the spinal cord is the information superhighway. We start to just open that up, and it literally opens up their life. It opens up their minds. It opens up their ability to process life. It gives them more bandwidth for life. They have actually more bandwidth, which then like usually starts as a smile or a smirk. And then they start socially interacting with us. And then their family life improves, and then their relationships at work improve, and then their health improves, and their bandwidth for wanting to get out and get to the gym improves. And then they get momentum along that line. They get momentum with their food. They get momentum with their friends, their family. And literally, like, we see this over the decades of being in practice, but we see this within, I want to say within 6 visits of a patient starts coming in. They've been in the doldrums of life, not feeling well. 6 visits later, you start to see this sunshine coming from within. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than watching that sunshine lighten up their life and the friends and family that live and work and breathe around them. It's magnificent. And we see it every freaking day.
I actually got tears in my eyes this morning with a patient, and she is she has the hump going, and I always check her posture. And one of the things too, and for you at home, if you have your partner, your kids, have them stand up straight and look at them from the side, and the middle of their ear, the ear hole canal, it should be over the shoulders, but most everybody, and so most everybody, if you look, the neck is out here and the ear is out here. And so the goal is to get the head and the neck just in these simple chin tucks work well. And so she had a pretty big hump going back there when she came in, and she's only been under care for maybe 6 weeks or so. And she's completely out of balance. When I look at her posture, her head is tilted, her shoulders are like this, her shirt is always slid to one side. You could see when she first came in, her body her torso was out front, like her center of balance was not over her hips and her pelvis. And she came in today, and the only thing I saw on her was a little head tilt. Her shoulders were almost level. She was sitting over her pelvis. I've been showing her how to do the chin tucks. She's doing those all day long, says it feels so much better. And she has a genetic blood flow issue where she has a loss of blood flow in her left femoral artery. And which means that her right foot, whenever you see people and it almost looks like their skin is burned, there's a blood flow issue there. And so I was looking at her feet today, and I said, oh my God, have you looked at your feet lately? And she said, what? And I said, they're almost the same color. The one on the left was dark red. Her skin was chafed. It looked like she had been burned on her foot and ankle, compared to her right foot looked totally normal. And today they literally, like, there was, aside from a little puffiness, they were almost completely normal. And this puffiness around her Dowager's hump was also very minimal. So all I did, and she goes, it's you doing all the work. And I said, I'm just the vehicle. I'm just here to look at where your body needs help and assistance to be in the right balance. And your body is doing all this work. And I said, and I got choked up. I was like, this woman has dealt with this blood flow issue her whole life. And yet she came to me for back pain. And she was like, I had no idea that could be a thing. Yeah. So when we talk about the things that we see, so yes, I'm really glad, because now we're changing posture and getting rid of that inflammation and getting her to stand better and more balanced. But the depth of that was like mind blowing to me. And, she gave me a hug at the end. She's like, thank you so much. I had no idea that this is all the things that chiropractic could accomplish. Yeah. Like, this is what we do.
I know. I have this.
We're always blown away, right? Like, we expect it, but always blown away.
It's kind of like, I mean, every single time a mom has a baby, I'm like, of course you're going to have this baby. But every time you see this miracle, and I think every human can relate to that, this miracle, but we see small, tiny miracles every day, not just the babies like that. I don't know which direction you are. You're this way to me.
You're that way to me. Yeah.
I am. It's so weird. I don't know why. So anyway, so we expect big miracles like babies, but we are actually in our offices expecting small miracles like that. That is a small miracle. That is a huge deal to that woman. I started a new patient this morning. Oh my gosh, it was funny. And she was like, so she heard about our office for a long time. Her daughter comes here, her new grandbaby is part of the practice and all of this. And so I get her adjusted, and she's like, I've been to other offices around the area. And she's like, I went to the one down the street and blah, blah, blah. And they just have lots of things to say about it. And I'm like, okay, well, glad you're here. Right. So anyway, so I finish her adjustment. She's on her back and she does this. She's like, high five. That was a rock star adjustment. So she's still laying and she wants like a high 10 from me. I freaking love it. And of course, she's been dealing with pain, and it's going to take a series of visits, but it was just such a cool vibe to be like, I just met this woman. She let me adjust her. She needs the care. We'll set her up on, a plan to get her through that and beyond. And it's just funny to like, she's like, hey, that was a rock star adjustment. How about a high 10? So,
and that I love too, is when we'll get new people, perhaps who've never been to chiropractic or who've never worked with people like us, who get really excited about the adjustment. And because I'm always hooting and hollering, and I'm like, whoa, that was awesome. Oh my God, I feel better after that, and I'm just like, and then they're like, was that a good one? Like, they're not sure at first, like, oh, was that a good one? And then they're like, why do you get so excited? And I'm like, because I know the power that your body just received, and then just within a couple, 3-4 visits, they're doing that, right? They're like, oh my God, that was great. Like, now they get it, I love it.
No, it's awesome. It's fun to be doing what we're doing, and also being able to share with you guys. So always thanks for your comments. Thanks for being here, of course, too. So Dr. Erica, your patients are, I feel very, very fortunate. It is a lot of fun too. It really is. Like, it's, it's work, and we're doing the thing, and we're showing up and whatever and all that. And I said to my mom 2 years then, I was like, is this all you do? Like, you just like eat and go to work and eat and go to bed and wake up and eat and go to work, and like, is that what life is? She's like, yep, pretty much. And I said, well, I'm so grateful that I get to help people, because having this kind of work and career it's just really, really rewarding this many years, and I feel super fortunate.
20 years?
20 and a half.
20 and a half. Okay. Yeah. It is pretty amazing, which is why, like, again, it can bring us to tears when we see that kind of change, because we know the things we are telling people and helping them with is life-changing. And so I guess maybe in closing, I really would love for you, the listener, the viewer, that if you reach back on your neck and you feel puffiness as if there's a little water balloon there, if you look at your partner and you see that, if you look at them from the side and you see that their head is migrated out forward, and you will see it. Now that we're saying this, you'll start looking at people and you will see it. This is 100% get to a chiropractor, get them to a chiropractor, because if we just talk about how unsightly it is, people hate how it looks. Mm-hmm. And so if we just want to talk about vanity, get to a chiropractor. But if we really want to talk about lifelong, long-term impact and what it's doing neurologically and biochemically to you, get to a chiropractor. We'll do all the things, right?
Yeah. So structure equals function. And the better the structure, the better the function. So as you look at that structure, but I was also just thinking about the ergonomics that people are concerned about, like even in an office chair, but also when you even look around and you ask, your friends, like, are you working from home? Do you have a stand-up workstation? Like all those kinds of things. There's a reason why ergonomics are a thing. There's a reason why stand-up desks are becoming more and more popular. There's a reason why treadmill desks are more popular. There's a reason for that. And you want to know the main reason? Your spinal health. That's the reason. Your spinal health is everything, to the point that the employers are realizing, like, oh my gosh, sitting is the new smoking. You may or may not have heard that, but the level of degeneration that happens in the spine for the mere fact of sitting is it's a thing. So when you're looking around on ergonomics and you're thinking about every stand-up desk you're seeing, everything that's offered, all the advertisements for movement and yoga studios and just gyms and all the things, it's for spinal health first and foremost. And I was just reading some of the notes, was just, as we're talking about, put kids in a desk, sit them 7 in a row times 3 rows, or what, 5 rows times 5 kids, sit them all day. Come on.
No.
Come on.
And then yell at them for fidgeting.
Yell at them for fidgeting because their nervous system is like, get me out of here.
Right. Yeah.
And why can't you focus while you're sitting there? And one of them was just telling me, they're like, it's like lining them up in a jail, and they're not allowed to do what humans are meant to do, which is move. So yeah, anyway, just kind of all of these things, all of the alternatives and things that are being created is.
And it is self-induced. So we have to really be mindful of, thank you so much, Patrick. That's so sweet. We do have to be really mindful that we are surrounded by technology. We can't get away from technology. When you're on your phone and you're doing this, and then again, you wake up the next morning, you say, I just slept wrong. No, it was because you're like this. And all the structures back there are really irritated and they are screaming at you to not do this. So please be mindful and please be aware. And especially, let's help your children grow up tall and strong. And think about, imagine yourself being the old secretary from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you had to sit, and you had to sit up tall, and you had to pay attention, and you could not slouch, or else you were going to like smudge your paper or something. So I think we have to kind of go back to that, right?
Yeah.
But just paying attention more to your posture, more for not even just for the aesthetic, but for all the other things.
Yeah. I was noticing how much right now, if I am texting, I'm holding the phone up and then I'm using the voice to text, and I'm just I'm no longer looking down. Like, I've really progressed to that for somewhat for that reason. So love you guys. Thank you so much for being here and all the comments, and for Patrick and Silly Lily, you're always here. And it's all about the biology. Oh, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you. Bless you. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I guess with that, if you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to our channels, all of them. And if you've been here before, we are super grateful for you always tuning in and listening to us. And with that, we will be here next Thursday just for you on another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. And please let us know if there's any topics that we haven't covered. We bring topics to you that become very common in our practices, messages that we hear on a daily or weekly basis, things that we feel are trending in the world of health and wellness. And so if there's anything that we are missing that you would love to hear, please just drop us a message, and we would love to serve you by getting you the information that means something to you as well. So thank you so much for being here and for all your comments and engagement. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Peace.